Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson, and this might be the most democratic thing I've ever done in my life, and I don't vote, not in elections and stuff anyway, but I've been stuck all day on what to do as a video for you guys, so I thought, do you know what, I'll ask. So I asked for some topics, I then give you half an hour on some of the topics that I quite fancied doing, than the ones that seem the most popular. There's the results. So we asked away kit, players on the bus, Pochettino meeting Fergie or the Euros. That was basically what it came down to. You guys voted, 636 of you voted, so nice one for that. And the winning one was Pochettino meeting Fergie. Right, so Pochettino met Fergie for lunch on Tuesday. And people seem to lose their mind a little bit. As you expect, this is... United fans didn't, Spurs fans did, and I can understand why, because Spurs fans are thinking... We've just got back in the mixer. Everything's going right for us at the moment. We missed out on the league, but we're not arsed. We're finishing above Arsenal. Everything's looking bright. We've got some excellent young English core players. We're on the up and up. Things are looking rosy. So for Fergie to be there meeting your manager, you go, fuck. Have we just been mugged? And do you know what? Wouldn't surprise me. I have no indication. Obviously, I've said for a while now, the talk that's coming out of the people that I speak to in and around Carrington and stuff like that is everyone's sort of been giving it like it's Mourinho sort of dance, 1st of June, Mourinho, and it almost feels like it's been done for so long that it's gone quiet on it. And if you remember the last few days of what was going on with Guardiola and all that sort of stuff, there was ruffles about him looking at there was talk about him being maybe looking at United, or United had gone and met him in the days and weeks and the final hours of him before it was announced that he was going to Manchester City, and then obviously he went to Manchester City and people was like, yeah, we knew all along he was going to Manchester City. And I get the impression that that's what's going to happen with Mourinho. Everyone's just flapping every little bit of indication. Like someone said today, Mourinho's odds have dropped on him going to PSG. Well, do you know why they would probably drop? Because bookies, especially Sky Bet, think about it, Sky Bet and Sky Sports, they feed into each other. So if Sky Sports run an article saying Jose Mourinho's now the favourite and they shorten the odds, that means more people put money on stuff that they... It's a bit disingenuous, really, and it maybe shouldn't be allowed to run a news site and a betting company at the same time, because you can influence the betting. Maybe that's not right. And I think there's a lot of that at times, that they announce certain things to get more people to bet, because maybe no one's putting any money on Mourinho at the minute because everyone thinks he's going to United. So you might, by you saying that, we've shortened the odds on Mourinho going to Paris, everyone lumps on Paris, you make more money, everyone's a winner. So I think there could be an element of that. And I've always thought... We ain't fucking getting Pochettino out of Tottenham. What's the point in even trying? What I can't find is his contract length. This looks like it might be a year. Spurs expected until the 30th of June 2019, so he's got 3 years left on his contract. I think that's quite important. I thought he might have only had 1 or 2 years, because I can find information talking about him extending his contract to 2021. I couldn't find anything about when his current deal expires. I've just found it. So he's got 3 years left on his contract. That's a game changer, because I think, well, it's not a game changer. It puts me back to where my original thinking was, that you're going to struggle to get him out of there with Daniel Levy. I think Daniel Levy is going to cause absolute nightmares if you come and try and take his manager away from them at the moment while he's doing this. I mean, you know what it's like with players. Maybe it's easier for a manager. I don't know. I've never known a club being able to resist someone coming in for their manager. It's either at the end of their contract or they're sacked. There's very little. I mean, I'm not sure how it worked when we went in for Moyes, that he was a new manager, how that worked. You know, when you take somebody that's got a decent length of contract, there's obviously some compensation that you need to pay the club, but I don't know how it works. I don't know if Levy can just be like, no, you're not having him, or because it doesn't work the same as registrations do with players, that there's nothing you can do. If you know, bang it in the comments. Educate me, because that's something I am not aware of at the moment. So this meeting that they've had, now, it comes on the back of... Let me just pull this one up. It comes on the back of a couple of months ago. someone coming out, and it was the Labour MP for Tottenham, David Lammy, told the Spurs show that he was sat next to Sir Alex at a dinner 6 weeks ago. Sat next to Sir Alex at a dinner in support of grassroots football, and he said to me, I think you guys have got the best manager in the Premier League. Now, this is where it gets funky. Because the excuse that's been come out in the papers is that Fergie and Pochettino have got a mutual admiration for each other. But Fergie isn't being photoed with anybody else. He's not being photoed meeting other managers, and I'm sure there's a ton of managers that he's got respect for. I mean, you hear that he always says he's got a lot of respect for Arsene Wenger. When was the last time Wenger and Fergie went to dinner? You know, when was the last time him and any of these managers? You know, Louis van Gaal's supposedly thrown a lot of support behind recently. You don't see him out in San Carlo with Louis van Gaal eating dinner together or in wings, do you? So this is why I think this is a little bit, and not as innocent as is perhaps being made out. Now, cast your mind back to 2012, when Sir Alex Ferguson was going all around New York chasing Guardiola down. And it came out later on that we'd had asked Guardiola to be the manager, and he turned us down. That's a fact. And then in his book, he come out and said it was only going to be Moyes. So Fergie's come out and lied. And he also he said at the time when he was in New York that it was nothing to do with Pep taking over at Manchester United. This was prior to him announcing his retirement as well, remember. So there was reasons for him keeping that quiet. But at the time, you have to remember, they said, they give some reasons. I've just tried to Google it and I can't find the reasons that they give. But I do remember at the time there was some really innocuous, innocent reasons. I think it was Fergie was like lining up one of his talks at Stanford or something like that was the reason that they give. But it's come out since that, he actually went and spoke to Guardiola and asked him to be the Manchester United manager, and he said, no, I'm having a year out. And then he said, right, well, when you finished fannying around, give me a call. And he didn't. He went to Bayern Munich, and now he's turned up at City. So I'm inclined to not just believe what Fergie, and even Tottenham actually have come out with a statement, according to Sky Sports, that, let me find it. Can't find where it says what Spurs said. Tottenham had told Sky Sports that they were aware of Pochettino's meeting with Ferguson and have no issues with it. And it was Fergie, Pochettino and the Tottenham assistant manager, Jesus Perez, I'm not sure on the pronunciation for that. Why was he there if it's just Pochettino? I think when you add up what Fergie said about him being the best in the league, and you add up what's going on here, I think there's something in it. And we know, here's what we do know. We know that there's a split in the Manchester United board. We know this. We know that there was doubts over Louis van Gaal in the start of the season, and then when Mourinho became available, the board wanted to appoint Mourinho. There was a big barney, and Sir Alex wanted Louis to be given time and for gigs, because that's Fergie's plan, to eventually still take over. Some members of the board wanted Mourinho to take over there and then. They couldn't come to an agreement, and it just stayed as it was. And it's believed since then that there's been some sort of arrangement made with Mourinho that he takes over on the 1st of June. That's what I'm led to believe. Fergie stopped publicly denouncing Mourinho. Well, he's not publicly. He's stopped using his press contacts to denounce the Mourinho link, which he used to do, and he started to come out in favour of Van Gaal a little bit after realising that this Mourinho thing was likely to happen. And I think Fergie might be doing stuff off his own back here and trying to recruit Pochettino so he can go to the board and say, forget Mourinho, we got this guy. Wouldn't surprise me, because I do think the board is completely split. I don't know who's on which side, and I believe Fergie and Bobby Charlton are of the same opinion, and I believe Ed Woodward and the Glazers are on the other side, and there's various other board members split amongst the two of them. So what would that mean for us if he did come in? Now, he's obviously lit the Premier League up this year. He's playing the sort of football which United fans would fucking kill for at the moment. They're ruthless, they're attacking, they got an English core, they constantly attack in the way that golden era Manchester United late 90s sides would often do. They fearless. They took us to pieces at White Hart Lane. They're playing the way Manchester United used to play. They've not won the league, but they've done pretty well. But before we get too carried away with Pochettino, he's not won anything. And if you look at his points per game, which I think is an excellent indicator of where managers are, you do have to take into account where managers are in relation to the teams that they're doing. Now, if you remember the article I did on Mark Hughes, I said that the points per game that he was getting was with some pretty poor sides, and you have to look at that relative to like getting 2.1 points per game with like Bayern Munich. Getting 1.6 points per game with Fulham or Blackburn is better than getting 2 points per game with Bayern Munich, because Louis van Gaal was sacked on 2.02 points per game, I think, with Bayern Munich. So I'm just going to pull some stats out for you here. We'll start with Pochettino. So with Espanyol, he averaged 1.23 points per game. With Southampton, 1.45, so it was an increase. And now he's been at Spurs for 109 matches, 1.77 points per game. Not bad. His overall record, 39.8 wins, 25% losses, and 25% draws and 34% losses. So 39% wins, 34% losses, 1.45 overall as a manager. Now let's pull him up and put some comparison in it. Mark Hughes, 1.44 points per game as a manager, only 0.01 less. 39.7 wins for Mark Hughes, slightly more losses. But he's also managed a broad range of clubs. Mark Hughes is pulling out 1.44 points per game with Stoke, whereas Pochettino is pulling out 1.45 with Southampton. I would argue getting 1.44 with Stoke is better. He also managed 1.52 with Blackburn over 183 games, which is pretty special. So you go, all right, okay, well, how does that compare to other managers? Klopp's managing 1.71 at Liverpool. He managed 1.90 at Dortmund. It's pretty good. It reflects where they did in the league. He's hovering at just below 49% on the wins. That's Klopp. How does that stack up then to Louis van Gaal? Let's have a look. This is the Transfermarkt website.co.uk. If you're interested in checking these out, actually, how's that compared to Moyes? Moyes achieved 1.73 points per game with United, 1.53 with Everton, 1.73 points per game for Moyes, 1.77 for Pochettino. Minuscule difference, and look at the reaction to both. And here's one that might shock you. Pochettino hailed as this, that and the other, transformed Spurs, maybe quite rightly. Louis van Gaal, 1.78 points per game with Manchester United. So we would be looking to someone who's got less points per game than what he's got here. Louis van Gaal got 2.21 points per game with the Netherlands and over 2 points per game with Bayern Munich. That's an incredible figure, especially the Netherlands one. Louis van Gaal, overall 60% win ratio as a manager. I said Klopp's in the 40s, Pochettino's in the 30s, Mark Hughes is in the 30s. Not saying anything about these apart from there's the facts, interpret them as you will. So Pochettino not really lit it up even. Where is honours? I'm not sure he's won anything as a manager. He's not won anything as a manager. So there's no pedigree of winning there. There was no pedigree of winning anything with Moyes. We saw what happened. There was pedigree of winning stuff with Louis van Gaal, and that's not helped him either. So what's the next option? This is a big appointment in the history of the club. We've had 2 failed appointments, a third appointment, and you're going to be looking at the next person's getting 2 years at least, I think. everyone's going to get 12 months of grace because no one's going to want to see another manager out the door. That will then be our 5th manager. We will be looking then for our 5th manager post Fergie, after Moyes, Giggs, Louis van Gaal, Mr. Next, and then we'll be looking for a 5th manager since 2013. After going quarter of a century with one guy, we've gone the next 4 years with 5 guys. So is Pochettino the right man for the Manchester United job? I don't know. The same way I am not convinced Pep would have been. The same way I'm convinced Mourinho isn't. The same way I'm convinced the likes of Mark Hughes and Solskjaer deserve to be in the mix. The same way I don't think Giggs. I think Pochettino's ahead of the likes of Giggs, Solskjaer, Mark Hughes, etc. But I think those managers have to be spoken about because there is no obvious candidate for me. People go Mourinho. Well, the redeeming factors of Mourinho, that he never lost at home, he was an extreme winner with the teams that he was at, overrided the obvious negative factors that he doesn't play youth. He's an arsehole in press conferences. He pokes people in the eye. He puts all the things on him. Some might see that as a good sign, some maybe not. But there's always a drama, isn't there, with Mourinho? There's no just like plain sailing, everyone's getting on and this, that and the other. There seems to be all these negativity around him all the time. He's arguing with people, he's falling out with people. The thing that happened with Eva Canero last year was just... People are happy to ignore that when he's winning and when he didn't win. And people are ignoring the poor form of Chelsea last year. And they're saying, well, that was on the players. Well, why is this season not on Manchester United players? Why is it on Louis van Gaal? There's no consistency in people's arguments, and that's my only issue of all of this, is that I just want to see Manchester United do a proper recruitment process where we are seen to be doing due diligence in who we select. Nobody stands out as an extreme perfect candidate for me. So there's no need to be like going mental saying get him. Even Mourinho, I do think it'll be Mourinho, but I still think if there's 10 boxes, Mourinho maybe ticks 7 of them or 8 of them, but there's question marks on a couple. Pochettino might tick 6 or 7 of them, but there's question marks on a couple when we're talking about what can he do with a load of cash, what can he do with a club of this stature, what's he going to do in European competition, what's he going to do winning a league, retaining a league. There's managers out there that have done that have won European Cups, Louis van Gaal being one of them, and it's not helped. So Pochettino's missing those. But Ryan Giggs knows Manchester United probably better than many people. There's perhaps 2 or 3 people in the world that might know Manchester United more than Ryan Giggs. But then you've got no experience as a manager, no experience dealing with players, no experience in transfer market, potentially. I mean, there's talk that he sorted the Marshall deal out, or he was involved in somehow with the Marshall deal. If it is, that's a big plus for him, because that's one that's paid off massive. But there's no experience in dealing with squad rotations, and he's also been part of a failed regime twice, and there's no shit stuck to him. So at some point Ryan Giggs has got to take responsibility for being part of those regimes, and if he's not, he needs to be standing up and saying this isn't right, this isn't right. Now people, one of the things that people wanted me to talk about tonight was the incident on the bus yesterday with the players, and they're saying this wouldn't have happened under Roy Keane. I don't know. I've been trying to rack my brain to see if there's anybody I could ask to say, well, what would have happened under like Roy Keane, or what would have happened, under the '94 side. What would have happened in this circumstance on the bus, because we had some intimidating journeys and stuff like that in the early '90s in Europe with Galatasaray and stuff like that, where Cantona was battered with a truncheon by a policeman at Galatasaray. I want to know how the players would have reacted there. Would they have seen this as the players being relaxed and fine with it, or is this the players like not having their fucking head on the game? Is there a time and place? I mean, Roy Keane's maybe the wrong person to ask, because I think he's a borderline psychopath. But what would have happened? Maybe Paul Scholes maybe would know. How is a player meant to conduct themselves there? Because I don't know. I don't know what they'd be like. I used to always be fun and games in a dressing room and laughing until 10-15 minutes before kickoff. Then I go quiet and I get my head on the game. But I can be taking the piss out of people right up until that point, right up until the final team talk before you walk out the door. Fine. And if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is. But people was going to overreact to it one way or another yesterday. If we'd have won, people are saying, look how relaxed he was, and because we lost, people are like, look, their heads aren't on it. And there's arguments for both. And without knowing what that group of players' personality is like, can't really comment, unfortunately. So, the rest of the managers. So, as I said, I've said Mark Hughes. I've not said this is definitely the guy. If you read the article that I wrote, just search Stephen Howson, next Manchester United manager Mark Hughes. You'll find it on Google. I said I'm sick of talking about Mourinho, sick of talking about Guardiola because it wasn't announced at the time. I just want to explore other options. Mark Hughes was one that I chose to explore. My dad had been talking about it for ages. Like, look at the way he's got Stoke playing. Look what he did with Blackburn. Yeah, he was a City manager. I don't give a fuck. He's a United youth player and he's a Manchester United legend, or icon. So there's a lot of redeeming factors to Mark Hughes. There's also a lot of question marks over Mark Hughes, as there is with everybody. And then you look at the likes of Simeone, absolutely smashing it at Atletico at the moment. How much is this down to the director of football? How much of this is down to the way the club is run as a whole? Because if it wasn't for the ability to be able to replace the players that they sell on a pretty much transfer window by transfer window basis, then he would have fucking crumbled and that side wouldn't have been the same. So the scouting network needs to take some praise. The director of football needs to take some praise. The players need to take some praise. And Simeone himself needs to take some praise. Now, Simeone, again, he plays a fairly defensive style. The best defence, I think, in Europe. If not, it's in the top 2 or 3. Scores very little goals. So, based on what we've seen with Manchester United this year, not scoring enough goals and having the best defensive record in the league, that's not going to go down, is it? I mean, up until last night, at least, we had the best defensive record in the league. So, that's not going to fly. Simeone's tactics would not fly. People are like, oh, well, if it was in the Champions League final and in the running for the league, maybe they would. Maybe they would. But at the start of the season, Manchester United was top of the league and all people was doing was complaining about our style of play. It was static, it was boring, it was 1-0s and that's a fact. You know, look at the Newcastle game at home where we failed to score. My old man went fucking ballistic. And that was being repeated all over the place. That was like 2-3 weeks into the season, I think. So who's your other candidates? I tell you what, Zidane surprised me. He surprised me and he hasn't surprised me because I think Rafa Benitez is a shit manager. I think he's an absolute fraud of a manager. The Scousers talk him up because he won them a Champions League. In truth, he drew his way there and managed to blag his way to a Champions League. Unbelievable comeback. Well, let's not forget he was 3-0 down at half time. The other team tossed it off. So, yep, it's still an achievement. Fair play. But he wasn't able to build on that, wasn't able to replicate that, and he spent more money than any other manager, I think, in the Premier League up until that point. He was sacked and just come up with excuse after excuse. That facts press conference, I remember I'd finished early and I drove me and another lad home from Glossop. That was in the army. And we'd just gone to I had a flat in Staley Bridge at the time, and we'd gone to my apartment and we'd just put it on before dropping him off home. And I remember sitting there absolutely gobsmacked like, what is this dude on? This dude is absolutely nuts, isn't he? Like, he pulled his piece of paper out and he's like, and that is a fact, and that is a fact. And you're like, I remember thinking, they've blown it. Fergie's won again. Fergie's mind games has absolutely cooked him. So I think Benitez is a fraud, but that wasn't maybe why Real Madrid were doing so badly. I thought maybe there was something not quite right. So Zidane's come in. Now, is Zidane an amazing coach? Well, there was no evidence that he was an amazing coach beforehand. And this is what people always point to with gigs. They go, Guardiola did it. Zidane's doing it. Forgetting that Guardiola especially had hold of the B team. Now, Zidane was part of the B team, but I remember reading something at the time saying he was more of a figurehead of the B team because he didn't actually do anything with the B team. But he seems to have taken to first team management pretty goddamn well. They're in incredible form. If he'd have come in earlier in the season, I'm pretty much sure they would have had this league sewn up by now with the best front three ever at Barcelona, unable to do anything about it. Next year will be an interesting year for them 3 Spanish clubs, regardless, I think. Very interesting to see how that's going to go down. Zidane's doing excellent. I might do a video just on Zidane and his Real Madrid side and see how they compare in terms of style of play and the rest of it to Benitez's side. Benitez has gone from big club to big club to big club and just failed to do it. I mean, he's about to set Newcastle down. They was probably finished when he took them over regardless, but he still is going to take them down. A good manager might have got them out of that. And I very much doubt he'll stay, but I don't see where else he can go after that because he's just think he's garbage in all honesty. So That's the issue that faces Manchester United. Like, who, if it's not Pochettino, if it's not Mourinho, if it's not Giggs, and I hope it's not Giggs because I don't see how it goes well for him. It's all right knowing what the fans want. I know what the fans want. I don't think I'd be very good as a Manchester United first team manager. No, there's a lot of people who know what the fans want. Brian Robson, Mark Hughes, all of those, they would know what the fans want. Can they do it? That's the difference. Fergie, we are seeing more and more, was an utter genius. The likes of which might not be able to be replicated again. And the fact that he was sporting director, manager, head coach, involved in scouting and negotiating deals as well by the looks of things. I mean, there's not without his criticisms, because I think the squad crumbled in the last few years, and that might have been down to him. That might have been him, having one hand tied behind his back with the Glazers. He's never going to come out and tell us the absolute truth about any of that. So you have to make assumptions, and you have to make guesses, and you have to try and work it out with no information. But Fergie did allow the squad to crumble, and when he retired, on paper it looked a lot better than it truly was. There was a lot of players at the wrong end of their career, something that I think City might struggle with next year. There's a lot of players over 30, maybe on the downward slope of their careers, and that takes time to replace, rejuvenate, and that's what Louis van Gaal has had to have been the bad guy to do. He's got rid of so many players, some arguably too soon, some arguably not. I mean, Van Persie, let's have a look. I don't think Van Persie is playing for Besiktas at the moment, or even Fenerbahce where he is, not Besiktas. Let's see how many goals he's got, how many times he's played, and he's only 32. He started 19 times. He's got 14 goals actually. It's not bad for 19 starts, but his average rating on Who Scored's only a 6.9. He is not doing well at all. So and by the sounds of it, his attitude wasn't all out there. So maybe he was right to get rid of him. Maybe he wasn't. How much is Nani playing? Where's Nani? Can't see Nani. Thought he would have been there. Oh, there we go. What? It's got Nani listed as a centre half on here. That can't be right. Nani seems to have been doing alright actually. He's got 8 goals, 8 assists, 25 games, and a 7.5 rating. Could definitely do with a right winger at the moment, couldn't we? Could probably have done a lot worse than Nani. How mad is that? Anyway, thank you for watching. There's probably about 27, 28 minutes, something like that. Not decided what I'm doing tomorrow. Really difficult to get the footy manager games done because I need to play like a full season on both the Salford game and the United game, so that's going to take me some time. Squawker Dave's in for a podcast on Friday, so as soon as that is released, I think Friday dinner time, I will let you all know on Twitter. And that's it really, innit? Thanks for watching as always. Over 8,500 now, chasing down that 9,000 mark, and then we'll be in the home straight to 10,000. Not sure I'll be able to hit it before D-Day, but I will be pushing hard for it. So listen, thank you to everybody that's helped me hit that subscriber milestone. That's fucking incredible. Didn't think I'd reach that fast. I thought maybe I could do 10,000 in a year. So 10,000 in 6 months. I'm fucking blown away. So thanks to you guys. I am setting a target now of 20,000 by Christmas, because I do think that I'm going to hit the 10k probably in June, if not for D-Day. So I am now state your goals and then you can hit them, can't you? I am going for 20,000 by Christmas. So and I'm also committing to doing a video a day, whether that's just turning the camera on like this and just waffling utter dog turd, or if that's some of the edited ones. Let me know what you're thinking about the variety of content, because I am trying to diversify the shit out of it, and I've all sorts, like taking a dog swimming and anything like that. I want to do more stuff like that, and especially from the start of the season, I am going to do the Club 92 thing from next year. There's something I want to do based in Manchester that's going to take me a couple of months to get done. As soon as that's out of the way, I'm hoping I can get that done by the end of September, or give me August and September to do. a Manchester club specific sort of blog thing. Oh fuck it, I'll just tell you. I'm basically going to go around all the clubs in Manchester, like FC United and Drogsden and all of those clubs, Salford, Mosley, Hyde. Watch a match, talk to you about the ground, try and find someone from the club, be it a player, an official or a fan, to just tell us, what it is about their club, why maybe they chose non-league over a league club, because there's plenty of them in Greater Manchester as well, and just give you the feel of some non-league football, because I like going watching the occasional non-league football game. So I thought, let's show you guys, and I'm a big fan of Manchester itself, so there's a lot of football in Manchester. It is the hotbed of football, so let's show it the world. Let's give these clubs some love and some attention, and all the rest of it. And then I am going to try and do the 92. I have no idea how long that's going to take me. I have no idea how I'm going to present it. Might do it game by game. Might do it month by month. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to take me far and wide, right across the country. I found some excellent resources to help me do it. There's a website that, do you know what? Let me see if I can pull it up on here while we're on. Let's find it. There it is. It's footballfans.eu. See if I can get it up on here so I can show you. Footballfans.eu, and it shows you. You put a date in. Now, I sent this to one of my mates the other day who's going to join me there. That's Ben from MUFC Latest. I put this in with him the other day. I can't get it up on there. Let me put it in. I'll put it in while you're on, because I'll show you, because I think it definitely does need showing. Now what it does is you put in your postcode, you put in your locality, and which section was it? And it shows you the matches near you in like a radius, and it gives you everything. So quick match locator, once you go on footballfans.eu, and you can choose the games by the day, the month, the 3 months, the year, or a custom range. Oh, I've got to drag the thing over. For some reason it puts a pin in the middle of the C. So I should put the pin roughly near Manchester. And there you go. So you put the pin. It's in France for some reason. You put the pin roughly in Manchester there. Can you see? And then what it does is it gives you the fixtures below. I can't see what's even on the screen. So the fixtures there, it's saying like Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Bournemouth, Everton, Norwich, Stoke and West Ham. So that's all fixtures in my area over the next week. And that's in a 31-mile radius. Let's knock it up to a slightly bigger radius, 50 mile, and say for the next month. Be a lot of games, I would have thought. Oh, I can't click on the thing. Right, there we go. So that's how many games there are in the next month. Obviously, it's the end of the season, so there's not too many games. So you got Liverpool, Chelsea, Sheff Wednesday, and Brighton on the 13th. Derby and Hull, Connors Quay and Airbus, Barnsley, Walsall, Bradford, Millwall, United, Bournemouth, Everton, Norwich, Stoke and West Ham, Accrington, Stanley, and Wimbledon, and even an England one. Where's the England game? On the 22nd of the 5th, and that is at. Oh, it's at the shithole. It's at the Etihad. So there you go. So you can you can check out all the games like that. So if you are interested in doing the Club 92 thing, this is going to be a great resource. Footballfans.eu, and then fill out a profile, and then crack on. Simple as that. Go watch loads of football. I noticed it does 18s, 21s as well. So if there's games in your area and you like going maybe doing a bit of scouting, go crack on. So there you go, another extra little 5-minute bonus for you there. Thank you for watching. As always, cheers for helping me get to so many subscribers as it is. Any ideas that you got for videos, anything like that, stick it in the comments. I will reply to you all as much as I can. See you soon.